Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Neighborhood Passions Affinity Network, presented by our good partner, Google, and of course, Neighbor to Neighbor. My name is Valerie O.T. Nellis, and I'm going to be your host tonight. Tonight, we're going to focus on one of our eight key neighborhood passions, creating community and honoring diversity. And our topic tonight is forming meaningful partnerships with youth. Our young people are such an undervalued resource in our neighborhoods. So we're really excited about the opportunity to hear how to partner with them going forward. And our speaker this evening is Jacob Aparicio. Did I say that right?
Yeah, it was good. Close.
Close. And so he works with the Oasis Center here in town as the coordinator of the Building Bridges and WeCity programs. He's originally from Connecticut. Jacob landed here in Nashville through the Urban Leaders Fellowship Program in 2018, where he created policy recommendations for the Tennessee State Board of Education. He's now at Oasis and has continued to improve school climate, dismantle the school to prison pipeline throughout Davidson County. Jacob, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Valerie.
Yes.
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I see a few faces I recognize here, some folks I've reached out to in the past. Nice seeing you again. Some new faces as well. Really happy to be here today. As Valerie mentioned, my name is Jacob Aparico. I work with the Oasis Center, coordinate two programs, the Building Bridges and the WeCity program. The Building Bridges program that I facilitate, we partner with schools to help empower students to learn restorative practices and advocate for more restorative environments in their school spaces. And the WeCity Leadership Program, and the Youth Engagement Council, that too. There's a lot of things I do for Oasis. I wear a few different hats. But the WeCity program is a civic leadership development program. And I have two of my alums here with me today. So Alexis and Adrienne, and Alexis-Marie, I'll let you introduce yourself and then Adrienne.
My name is Alexis-Marie again, and I'm currently a senior at Nashville School of the Arts. And now I am currently in the WeGo Youth Action Team and the Youth Engagement Council.
Hi, everyone. My name is Adrienne Gott. I'm a freshman at Davidson Academy, and I'm currently a member on the Mayor's Youth Council at Oasis.
Okay.
Thanks, y'all. So we'll hear a little bit more from them for a second. So y'all have to bear with me for a moment. I got a couple of things just to kind of kick us off today. But as Valerie mentioned, we'll be here today to talk about how to form meaningful youth partnerships, and that'll be both in the discussions we have, but also in the practice and what we do today. So I'm going to share my screen with y'all. I have a little presentation that we all work together to put for y'all. So I'm going to put this on the screen, and can everybody see this?
Not yet. I have a black. There we go.
Yeah. All right. Great.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So forming meaningful youth partnerships. So as a check-in today, I see the chat a little bit. So pull this up on the side. Thanks for sharing, Jim. So we all kind of went around, introduced. By the way, I live in the Glencliff Woodbine area. So that's where my neighborhood is. And since we all kind of did our introductions and names and where we live, we'll kind of move forward a bit. And we did have a poll for y'all. So I recognize a few folks here that, have collaborated and worked with youth in the past. I'm not familiar with everybody. So to first kind of take a temperature of the space, we wanted to run a poll for y'all. So Jim, if you could pop that up on the screen.
Jacob, I have some sad news. For some reason, when I click on the thing, on the button, it's saying that it's not available at this time.
No problem. That's fine. So if you guys mind putting in the chat, got to be flexible. One of the first things about working with youth, learning to be flexible, move on your feet. But yeah, if you could put in the chat, we're wondering, how long have you worked with young people? So what is your experience working with young people? How long have you worked? So you can measure that in months, years, however that may be. Please just enter the number in the chat and then we'll move from there. All right, so we got some lifers here. We got Jackie and Elena. Not surprised since y'all were young folks. Valerie in the past 15 years in a professional capacity. Jen from time to time. She mostly works with adults. Kelly as well. Thanks for sharing. If y'all mind putting in the chat, what is your experiences in terms of working with young people? What does that look like for you? And if anybody'd like to speak up and share, feel free to do so. Yeah, what is your experience working with young people? What does that look like?
So Jacob, for me, I work with the neighborhoods organizations across the city, and the number of young people that are actually engaged in those groups is like maybe less than 1%. So usually my experience is I get invited to groups to speak to youth about neighborhoods, which isn't very fun because I'm the talker and I don't get to listen that much.
So it seems you get to, oh, Carolyn said she missed the information, so please send her. All right. Yeah, thanks for sharing, Jim. Well, hopefully today we can share a little bit of information that can be useful for you, you know, in engaging young people. Jackie, she is an adult supporter of a youth-led worker. Yeah, that's for sure. The Youth in Action program is super impressive in what you do. Elena mentioned tutoring, mentoring, coordinating an internship program. So yeah, there's different ways you can work with young people. And today we're gonna kind of go about, you know, how you can successfully engage them. But thanks for checking in, y'all. So our agenda today, we did a brief check-in and poll. It's gonna be switched around a little bit. So we're gonna do the Gen Z quiz first. So we thought in order to first understand how to collaborate with young people, you gotta know about who they are. So Adrienne and I and Alexis, we put together a little quiz for y'all. Originally it was gonna be over Kahoot, but we're gonna actually do it using this Google slide. Then afterwards, we're gonna use Jamboard as a tool to formulate a little discussion. And then afterwards, we'll have some time for a question and answer. With that said, I'm gonna hand it over to Adrienne now. And Adrienne's gonna lead us in a little Gen Z quiz. And as y'all do that, I'll keep time. And please put your answers in the chat.
Hi, everyone. So as Jacob said, I'll be presenting to you multiple questions that are all about Gen Z, just to see how much we know starting off. And I'll give you guys a few seconds just to put in your answers in the chat, and then we'll go over the answer, and then we'll go to the next question, and we'll rotate just like that. So our first question is, what is the time span that Gen Z was born in? And we have A, 1993 to 2007, B, 1980 to 2005, C, 1997 to 2010, and D, 1987 to 2003. So you guys can go ahead and type your answers in the chat. Okay, so it seems like most people put C from the chat. Let's see. Yes, you're correct. The answer is C. Gen Z, we are all born from 1997 to 2010.
Yeah.
So our second question is, what is the most common social media app used by Gen Z? And I know this one is a little bit tricky, but the answers are A, Facebook, B, Snapchat, C, YouTube, and D, TikTok. Let's see. Seems like most people are putting D in the chat. All right, let's see the answer. Yes, TikTok.
Y'all are better than me.
Like that's talked about a lot. A lot of people know TikTok, so it's becoming really popular. All right, our next question is, what percent of Gen Z identify as a racial or ethnic minority? A, 18%, B, 48%, C, 39%, and D, 30%. So we have B so far.
That was tough. Let's see. Ooh.
We're getting a lot of B and C. All right, Jacob, the answer? B, 48%. Yes. So almost half, almost split right down the middle.
I'm not competitive, but I've got 3 for 3 now.
Okay, so our next question is, what percent of Gen Z have at least one immigrant parent? A, 22%, B, 14%, C, 42%, and D, 10%. Getting a lot of A so far. I think we got all A this time. All right. Yes, A was the correct answer, 22%. So about a quarter of Gen Z have at least one immigrant parent. So next, what percent of 18 to 20-year-olds in Gen Z are enrolled in college? So A, 39%, B, 53%, C, 44%, or D, 59%. So our first answer was C. Let's see what else. Getting C so far, B, A, B. Okay, so this one we're not really sure. We're gonna find out. No one said D. D's the answer. 59% of Gen Z ages 18 to 20%, 18 to 20-year-olds are enrolled in college. So that's one we really didn't know. Okay, next question. What percent of Gen Z live with a parent who's obtained a bachelor's degree? So A, 16%, B, 43%, C, 32%, and D, 23%. Okay, I'm seeing B and C in the chat. B, B, and C. Okay. Okay, Jacob. So the answer is B, 43%.
Oh, gosh.
What percent of Gen Z believe official forms should include gender options other than male and female? So A, 50%, B, 40%, C, 59%, and D, 37%. C, I'm seeing a lot of. All right, I think we got most of the answers in. The answer is C, 59%. So that's a little bit over half. So what percent of Gen Z experienced job loss in their households due to COVID? So A, 68%, B, 40%, C, 36%, and D, 50%.
This one got some variety. I think you're
Adrienne,
muted,
you're
Adrienne.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. So some people thought less and some people thought more, but it's right down the middle at 50%. So it's either one of two.
Mm-hmm.
So then Gen Z are more likely to believe in that government should do more to solve problems than business or individuals. And this is a true or false question. So true or false? I'm seeing true so far. True in all caps. True, true. It's all good. So yes, the answer. Yes, true. I feel like we can all agree on that right about now. So now we have some Gen Z takeaways. So I have a discussion question for you all. And of course you can unmute your mics to talk about this. We'll spend about 5 minutes talking about this. Or if you're more comfortable, you can type your answer in the chat. But today our question is, how is Gen Z different from your generation now that we took the quiz and you know just a little bit more about Gen Z? Compare that to your upbringing. So anyone is free to answer whenever. Can you guys hear me?
I hear you now.
Yes.
You got muted for
Did
a
I
second.
go? Okay, sorry about that. But I was saying that we're going to take the next about 5 minutes just to discuss how Gen Z is different from your generation. So we can discuss that, or you can put your answers in the chat if you're comfortable enough.
Well, I'll certainly kick us off. Social media is really a huge difference from when I was growing up. We had the good old telephone is how we communicated with a dial. Yeah.
And then I also saw some answers in the chat. Elena Hamilton said generally more diverse, more open-minded, and much, much more easy access to information. Is this from the true or false question?
No, sorry, I was saying true and false information.
Oh, true and false.
To both kinds of information, but that was unclear in the way that I typed it out, so I apologize.
Oh, no, you're fine. That's a great answer.
I would second that, what you're saying, Elena, especially about like the diversity and open-minded. Some of those questions, the percentages threw me off because growing up, how I grew up, I grew up in the suburbs. So oftentimes it was like a majority white area. I felt like I was alone. I was like the only immigrant kid around for a long time. So to see like the percentages so high for minorities and then immigrant parent families, is for me, it's inspiring to see.
Everybody's shy tonight. What's going on?
I think Carolyn left, and you know, when she leaves, everybody gets quiet. You know, I'm on the cusp between the baby boomers and the Gen X. And, you know, on the one hand, I see that there's a sense of activism from the baby boomer generation that I'm noticing in this generation. And sometimes since I'm on the cusp, I have a tendency not to be the activist type person, not to be that engaged. But it's exciting to see that in this generation. I just think that everybody's, and this is my perception, is that everyone's more connected. and that people are really engaged in the world and not shying away from it. Is that true?
Mhm.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Do we have any other remarks? All right, so I think those were some really good comparisons, and I'm really glad that we were able to take the quiz just to, learn more about each other and just get a new point of view. So now we're just going to give you a few of our answers. So we said that Gen Z is really progressive, just like you guys stated, very diverse, very educated. I know a lot of parents on the call can see that from their children. And we have a few tips just for engaging with young people, but always do your research. Don't just take the first speculation on your kids, even though you know your children, but thinking about Gen Z as a whole before you engage. And one thing about Gen Z that really stands out is we focus more on equity to achieve equality. And I know that previous generations had more of a equality approach to everything, but Gen Z is educated, and we're realizing that equity is prerequisite for anything else that we aspire to achieve. So that is probably one of the biggest takeaways before engaging with Gen Z. Just a few more things you should know about the conversation.
Would you elaborate on that just a little bit, Adrienne?
Yes, ma'am, of course. So first, I feel like I should discuss the difference between equity and equality. So equality is when everyone is at a level playing field, no matter who they are. And that's usually the ideal world and society that we go for. Mm-hmm. But equity is when you uplift different minorities and different social groups that haven't been on that level playing field. So when a lot of people have the approach automatically for equality, they're taking out the aspect of, well, maybe everyone isn't equal to begin with. Because if we only preached for equality, then different minorities that were here, I would say on a scale, versus different people of privilege are here. We're just moving them up one. We're not actually giving oppressed groups the benefit that they need to even be on a level playing field, just because they've had less privileges throughout our history. So from generations that were before Gen Z, we love just what they teach about equality. But we're now coming to terms of, okay, well, realistically, we reach that if we work with people who have been oppressed so that we can reach a level playing field. So that's more realistic. And that's always something that I feel like as adults, that's how adults and youth can work together once we realize that, and then we begin a further conversation.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Alexis, and definitely thanks for giving some of the background and perspective and the importance of pursuing equity, for sure, and how important that is to Gen Z. So we'll move over. I'm gonna share the screen real quick again. Just give me a thumbs up if y'all can see that, either in reaction or. Yeah, so we'll move on. Alexis.
All right, so now that we have completed that activity, we're going to head to the next activity to kind of get y'all's perspective as far as what that interaction would look like between the youth and you all, and especially in the community. So we set up a Jamboard activity, and if you all could, there's different on the side that I think you should see as soon as it comes up. And
yeah, I just put the link in the chat. Sorry.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Once you click on the link, you'll be able to see like a lot of different things to the side, and you want to click on the sticky note sort of, yeah, feature. And we just have like 2 questions for you guys to answer, just kind of continue our conversation. So we'll probably spend about 5 minutes per question.
So do you just type right onto the sticky?
Yeah. And then once you're done, you'll click save, and then it'll appear on the screen, and then you can move it around to where you want to position it. So once you on the link, the first question should come up, and you want to go to the side and click on the sticky note, and then you can type your response there, and then you want to press save, and then it should appear on your screen. I hope that helped.
Am I supposed to download this Jamboard or whatever it is?
Once you click on it, it should take you to a website.
Yeah, if you look in the chat, there's a link, and if you just click that link,
I clicked on the link and it took me to a thing that's going where it says Jamboard, and I guess it wants me to download Jamboard or something.
Oh,
I don't know if I'm doing that.
Well, if you're fine, maybe you can type it in our chat. The first question, and I'll type out the question in the chat so you can respond there if you're having issues or whatever accessing it. So the question is, what would it look like to have partnerships with youth in your community? All right, cool. Well, with the time, I think we're looking good. We have some of the ideas there. Maybe we'll go on to wrap it up after this. So. Communication and togetherness. So yeah, there's some great ideas there. Any observations you see from this, Alexis, that you'd like to speak on before we wrap this up and go to the Q&A?
Yes. What really stuck out to me was removing the barriers and asking them why they may not feel welcome, even if invited. That one really stuck out to me because I think it's important to make sure that everyone is in a comfortable setting, and that everyone has the space to feel welcome and that their ideas can be shared in a safe space. So I think that's really important.
Anything you notice, Adrienne, that you'd like to share on?
I love Alexis's response, and I also agree with the breaking barriers and valuing different experiences from both groups.
Okay, well, thanks for trying out the Jamboard. We're gonna pull it back to the presentation and leave it to the Q&A. So I'm gonna share this one last time. Oh, whoops. So yeah, here are some of the takeaways that we had. And I don't know, Alexis, if you want to share a little bit about this.
Okay, so we said some of the main takeaways that that we want you guys to gain from this is to understand that you have to have patience and know that it will take time to sort of get to the point that you want to get to with the youth, as well as listening to understand, because I think sometimes our generation sort of feels like you're listening to us, but you're not really hearing us. So I think as long as you're open to listening to what we have to say and try to really understand it, that would be a really important thing. And valuing, that goes along with like valuing youth input to sort of make sure that you're really valuing what we say and showing essentially that like you're on our side and you support us. It's also important to treat us as an equal, because we essentially want to be treated on the same level as you guys. You know, even though we're younger and our generations differ, we still want to be on the same level so that we can collaborate. And also checking your bias, because we all have certain biases that instantly form. So putting that to the side and just, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, but sort of putting that to the side and just making sure that you're in that moment and evaluating us for who we are and not who you think we are. Also, we want to collaborate. Like, we want to help in any way that we can. So as long as we have the right resources and you guys are willing to work with us, we are very open to collaboration. Also, make it fun and engaging. You know, we tend to gravitate more towards things that we can have fun and enjoy doing, even while we're helping our communities. They can also develop our leadership skills, because I know personally for me, ever since I've been involved with Oasis, it's definitely developed my leadership skills and helped me kind of increase my advocating, especially bringing us to our last point, advocating on issues the youth can relate to. So I'm a part of the WeGo Youth Action Team, which is through the WeGo Public Transit, and essentially we are trying to increase youth ridership, and that's something I can relate to, being a person of the youth and utilizing our transportation. So it excites me to be able to advocate on things like this. So I think these are like the main takeaways that we want you guys to have moving forward as you try to engage the youth in your projects and things like that.
Thank you. Q&A. Any questions, anybody?
I have a question.
Yes.
So my question is for the two student leaders on this call, but maybe I'm putting them on the spot. So maybe my question is actually for Jacob, if I am putting them on the spot. But Opportunity now hires summer staff. And so we have adults that come on like 1 week before they start working with kids. And we do kind of like some training on Gen Z, but my question is, what sort of training do you think would be helpful for people when you're kind of only have that 1 week to talk to them before they start working with your age group? Like, what is it that you think you would include in a training for our summer staff?
So to clarify, it would be training for adults that would work with you.
Yes, that's correct.
Got you. I'll leave it to Adrienne and Alexis first, and then I'll chip in if y'all have anything to say first.
First off, I would definitely say that although youth and adults, they're two completely separate age groups, so they're going to have different ways of, critical thinking and ideas. One like piece of advice I could give was just having those adults understand that youth are, just like you guys, we agree and disagree on different things, but that's with any generation. But just understanding that we're people just like you, and just to, you know, work with all age groups, just to, because when you do that, you understand that people aren't as different as you think that they are. And just learning, taking more examples about, you know, what youth go through, and our different environments that we come from because of being a part of a different generation. But I think the first thing that they should understand is just that, yes, although there is a difference, you know, people are people, so we should be addressed in the most respectful and like loving way possible.
And to add to that, I think that even goes back to one of the points I just mentioned about just treating us as equals, you know. And I think even if they like allow themselves to sort of be like vulnerable and be able to gain a connection with the youth in that like short group of time, I even think that would help to just, you know, again, I think it's more so about feeling comfortable in a safe space. So if they can provide that to them, I think they will feel comfortable and they'll be able to work together for that time.
Yeah. And to add to what Alexis said, I think that a lot of adults have to realize that there is a part of them that can relate to a lot of experiences that youth undergo every day. So like I said, just having that common ground and understanding the human factor, if that makes sense, that we're all going to eventually be at the same playing ground, and you're going to have the same feelings and reactions as anyone else, just because of how the brain develops and because of how we develop as people.
All right. Jacob, did you want to add something before we close out for the evening?
I think they did an amazing job answering the question. I would say,
Yes,
I know you work opportunity now. You know, the students are working for internships, you know, they have a goal, but it's just as much as the process. So understanding the process and how to have trust in young people and their abilities to lead, and just, offering the nurture and the support along the way. We can connect after, Elena, if you like.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jacob, Alexis, Adriana. Thank you so much. We appreciate all that he said this evening. I hope our grown folks are listening and are going to take all this to heart. All right. Well, I want to thank my audience as well. Really appreciate you guys being here. We'll be here next week, and we'll have Terry Terrell from the First Response Center talking about COVID-19, how neighborhood organizations can help. Remember, great neighborhoods don't happen by accident. Find your neighborhood passion and work hard to make your neighborhood safe and vibrant place to live. Thanks, everybody. Take care and have a good night. Bye.